Hello.
Hello สวัสดีค่ะ
Hello. How are you today?
I'm fine
Fine. Right. Questions today?
Question about pirate
Pirates
is
of the Caribbean.
real or not or just movie
I don't think that's an English question. But real. Absolutely. There were pirates. Yeah.
Caribbean
Yeah, in the Caribbean, in many oceans. Still today, there are pirates.
This happened for a long time
Yeah, I don't know when it began, but yeah, there have been pirates probably for as long as there have been boats. Yeah, definitely. Pirates.
just that
Yeah, still pirates today.
still now
Yeah, usually pirates, they wanted gold, and they would attack ships and steal the gold.
because gold can sell everywhere
No, it's just it was money. So they stole gold and people.
but right now people use boat to transportation
Transport
transport gold
gold.
I don't know
Gold.
gold
Right. Exactly. Except you came back today just for the goldfish. Anyway, we'll talk about pirates another time. Any other questions?
no
So today we're back for another episode of
oh sorry of I'll taste
No. John's painful
story
history reviews full of forgotten dates.
Yes.
Because I won't remember. And racism.
racism
And
means
we learned many times. People who don't like people from other countries, they're racists.
oh
Racism and stereotypes. Remember?
stereotype
Remember we learned stereotypes? What are stereotypes?
when we in the beginning we start class
Yeah, what are stereotypes?
type of something
No, stereotypes.
kind
No, when you think all people from one place are the same. If you say all Asian people are short, that's a stereotype.
Or
It's
like
not real.
profiling
Yeah, profiling, right. Exactly. So John's history reviews are full of stereotypes, racism, forgotten dates. But, many people probably will laugh at me. They'll say, John, you're ignorant. You don't understand history. You're stupid. But they should come to Thailand and try to teach a history class.
they will understand
And if they survive, probably they'll come back and watch my show and say, let me see how he did it. Anyway, why don't you show them? This is Clint Eastwood. I don't remember that movie. I think it was the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I think there were
Criminal.
3 movies. I can't really. I didn't watch it. But anyway, that's a very iconic picture, famous picture, and it shows what people in the Wild West looked like a little bit. But he's handsome. Really, people in the Wild West were not good. They had missing teeth, and they were very skinny. Didn't have
he
anything to eat.
done the actor
He's an actor, famous actor. Yeah, he played a movie about the West. Yeah, Clint Eastwood. Anyway, so the Wild West. So do you know what wild means?
wild
Wild. Yeah, wild. The Wild West.
I know
So in America, right? Maybe you don't know America, but anyway, America's kind of like this. And on the right side is New York and Washington. That's where people from Europe came to the United States because they wanted to go to China. They didn't know there was another piece of land there. They thought they could go to China and then get silk or whatever they wanted there and come back. So they found the United States, not the United States, but America, and a lot of cities were built on the east coast, on the right side of America. But the left side of America, California and Oregon and kind of like Texas is on the bottom. But anyway, on the left side or the west, right? We call that the Wild West.
Wild West.
There were no rules there. There was no
All
police
of
there.
them.
There was no police there. There was no army there. There were Native Americans, Indians, not Indian people from India, people who were in America before European people came. They called European people the white man.
White man.
White man. The white man. Anyway, so this is a story about the Wild West. So not the right side of America, the west of America.
West.
Yes,
of
it was
America.
called the Wild West. So why did people who came from Europe, remember, why did they come from Europe?
Why they come from Europe?
Right, we learned when
They're
we,
poor. They
right, they were poor,
want to find something. They poor and they bad. No.
yeah, some criminals probably.
And
And they came over on boats like the Titanic, but much before the Titanic, and many boats and ships before then. We learned about it when we learned about the Statue of Liberty. We learned about that. So remember, the United States started, remember, Christopher Columbus found America in 1640 or something, I can't remember now. And then after that, people started going to America. Not just the United States, but South America also, right? But the United States is what I know a little bit of the history of. So people left Europe. People from the UK, from England, from Spain, from Italy, even from Russia probably, and many countries. They went to the United States and they made cities on the right side, the east of the United States. But there weren't very many people in the West. What happened is that some people went to California and to the West and they found gold.
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 Gold. Big pieces of gold on the ground. They picked them up like this. It was a gold rock like this. Some of them didn't know what they were. They used it to hold paper in their house or to hold the door. And then some geologists, people who know about that, said, hey, that's gold. You're rich. And after that, everyone tried to go to California to get rich with gold. The problem is that going from the east side of the United States to the west was really dangerous. There were no roads. People had just horses and wagons.
Wagons.
The thing that the horse pulls is called a wagon.
Wagons.
And they went to the west to find the gold. And they had a lot of trouble. There were Native Americans, there were Indians, just like remember in Back to the Future?
Yes.
Oh, on the horse, and they would shoot them. And there were snakes and bears and dangerous animals. No food. There was no stores. It was nothing. It's like 4,000 kilometers to go with a horse, right? So everyone started to go to the west of America to get gold, and along the way they made towns, little cities and little towns. Some people couldn't make it all the way to California, or they found gold in the place that they were, and maybe they tried to mine there. So in the United States, we say that the Wild West was everything after the Mississippi River. We have a famous river in the United States called the Mississippi, and you can find it. If you search for it, you can find the Mississippi. Everything to the left side of that river was thought of as the Wild West. People in New York and in Washington, they thought that people who were going to the West were crazy because it was dangerous there, and people got killed in the desert. It was horrible. There was no law, there was no police. You could just shoot someone. If someone didn't like you, they killed you. And so it was very dangerous. And people in New York and in the East, they called those people cowboys who were in the West. They were people who had cattle, cows.
Cow.
Cows. Moo.
Oh, animal.
Yeah, cows. So anyway, we call that the West, everything on the left side of the Mississippi River. People started going to California in 1607. I have here. So so Christopher Columbus was 1492. So much before that. Anyway, so in 1607 until 1912, there was the Wild West. So almost for 300 years. But there weren't very many people that went to the West in 1607. The real time that we remember the Wild West is from 1860 until 1890, or maybe 1912 after that. But it ended when the United States became a country, and all of those lands in the West became states of the United States. After that, then it was the end of the Wild West. So the Wild West was about 40 years of time, from 1860 until 1890. So how many years ago? How many years ago?
400 เหรอ 400 เหรอ
No, 1860 to 1890.
1860 to 1890. Right now to 2000. 140 or 10 or 40.
Yeah, like 150 years ago, right? So there were many gold rushes. Do you know what a gold rush is? Gold and rush, that means everyone tries to get it.
Yes.
So everyone trying to get gold is a gold rush. So if I say, hey Sipti, there's gold over there, and everyone runs to get it, that's a gold rush. There were many gold rushes. I think there was 7 total, but there were famous ones in North Carolina and in Georgia and in California. Those were the three big ones, and they made the news. Everyone was talking about them. They said, you can just find gold rocks. You got to go there and get rich. So everyone was trying to go and get rich in the gold rush. Also silver, not just gold, but silver also. We have a famous football team in America called 49ers.
49.
The 49ers. And I think they came from the name from people who in 1849 tried to go get gold in California. The people who went to get gold were called 49ers. And I think that's probably why we have a football team today, but I don't know. I didn't hear that, but that's what I think probably. So many people went to California to try to get the gold, and it was dangerous there. And so they had to fight and build towns and try to get the gold. And the problem was that a lot of them didn't have any money. So they tried to go to the West with nothing, just a horse. And a lot of people died along the way when they were trying to get to California before they even got to the place where they could mine for gold.
Like game. And people can get the gold.
I don't know if it's a game, but anyway, they said that 80 graves per 100 miles. So they said that about one person died for every mile, maybe 2 kilometers. For every 2 kilometers, a person died along the way, and 100 animals per mile. So cows and horses and whatever other animals they had, maybe dogs, I don't know. But anyway, there were a lot of people who died along the way to get to California. Lots of people went and died along the way. A lot of people made it though, and they made towns and cities and different things along the way. So when people got there, they decided that they were going to try to mine for gold. And they got the equipment, the shovels and the tools to mine for gold in the East. They couldn't buy them in the West because there were no stores. So when people were leaving the East, they sold everything that they had. They couldn't have money because nobody used money in the West. There was nothing there. It was just desert. So they would buy things that they wanted for the way. They would buy a horse, they would buy a gun, they would buy some shovels to dig for gold, and then they would try to go to the West. There was no money there. There was money in the United States, but there was no money in the West because there was no stores there. There was nothing. Right? It's just desert and
That's
dangerous.
why gold they're not important.
Gold not important where?
In west.
Gold was very important in the West. That's why people went to the West, was to get the
Before.
gold.
Before.
No, because there was no people there.
Oh.
So that's
It was
why.
just animal.
Well, there might have been Native Americans, there could be Indians there, but they didn't
money.
care. Well, they had their own money, but they didn't care about gold. If they did, they used it for other things. But the people who went there to find gold were American people who wanted to get rich. Anyway, so in the West, there were people who tried to do different things. Some people tried to mine for gold. Some people had cows, cattle.
Cattle.
It's called, that's what we call cattle, cows. And they would try to take care of these cows and bring them to different places where there was grass. And the cows would eat the grass and get bigger and fatter.
And sell.
And then they would sell them. These people were called cowboys. They didn't call themselves cowboys. The people in the East called them cowboys. And they did, in the movies, they're like this. But in real life, they were, missing teeth, and they drank a lot. If they sold their cows, they just, they used all the money for drinking or for whatever gambling. People used to play poker. If they had any money. And if somebody was cheating, they'd kill you.
Cheating.
Cheating.
Not good.
Lying.
Or lie.
Right? Cheating. So there were many sayings that they said about the West. And I wrote some of them down. It said, all people in the East used to say, all the West lacks is water and society, just like hell. So a lot of people in the East, in New York and in those cities, they thought that people in the West were like animals, crazy, because there was no law there, there was no society there, and they were just criminals and outlaws. And they used to say also that in the West there's only one type of police, and that's the gun. They say that justice is the bullet that is in the chamber. That means the one ready to go is justice. That's the police, is the bullet in your gun. So if someone's bad to you, you kill them. The people who were cowboys, they didn't like people in the East because they thought, like, probably they thought that they were like the girl from The Notebook, right? Those were the people in the East. And the people in the West looked like this. And they didn't like the people in the East because they thought that they were, you know, too sophisticated and too rich and not tough, like people who lived in the Wild West. And there was a lot of money. Some people got really rich. Not everyone was poor when they went to California. Some people got very, very rich, and they made companies, and they paid for soldiers, paid for more people to come from the East and work there after they started finding gold. So in the beginning, people went to the West just to try to get rich. Most of them didn't. Most of them died. But some people found a lot of gold, and they could make companies, and then they paid for more people to come from the East and work there. And they got very, very rich. After a while, they realized that there were no girls.
No girls.
In the West, because girls didn't want to go there.
Yes.
There were some, but they were tough. They were.
That's like a
They didn't look like regular girls. If you see the pictures of the West girls, you know, they were missing teeth. They were really tough, and they were good with the guns also. And so there were.
what they go to for?
Same things.
Fight.
Same things as
Find
anyone
gold.
else. To find gold, to get rich, to shoot other people. And so, but there were no girls. There weren't very many girls in the West. So people thought, if we're going to make cities here, it has to be safe. And so the girls will come. And so what people did was they built a railroad. The train. So there was two companies. It was called the Union Pacific and the Central Pacific. And they built railroads to go from New York to California. And it took a long time. A lot of people died. Actually, my great-grandfather worked on the railroad when he came from Italy. A long, long time ago, he worked on that railroad. Many people worked building the railroad. And a lot of people died making that railroad because it was really, really difficult.
100 years ago, about.
It was 1869 that it was finished. So
1869.
So about 140 years ago. 140 years ago. And the government, the United States government, gave land to the railroad companies, free land or cheap land to build the railroad. So they had a lot of land to build the railroad on. After they were done building the railroad on May 10th, 1869, then after that, the companies that built the railroad, they sold all the extra land that they had for very cheap or for free. And so after the gold rush, a lot of people went to the West to get cheap land for their house.
But in the beginning, people don't buy, just own, go and get land.
Some of them had to pay, but it was very cheap. And so many people wanted to go there because they thought, wow, now I can finally own land. Because a lot of these people came from Europe where they were very, very poor and they had nothing. All their families' lives, they had to work for other people. They had nothing. They were like slaves. So they came to the United States and this was their chance. They thought, I can have my own house. I can have my own farm. And so they went and they tried to make farms. Also, the United States government made a Homestead Act. And they made a law that said, if you can go to a piece of land in the West and you can live there for 8 months,
Can survive.
you can survive for 8 months there, then you get the land for free. 160 acres. So pretty big, a lot of land. You can get that land for free if you can live there for 8 months. Because they didn't want to give land to people, just companies. They wanted to give it to individual people to go and live there. But you had to live there for 8 months. And so it was really, really difficult. People tried, families and kids and whole families, they would go and they'd try to build their house and they would try to live there for 8 months. And if they could live there for 8 months, then they got the land for free. And then they could go back to New York or whatever, or they could live there if they could survive. So that's why a lot of people tried to go there. And in the United States, we have a very, very famous book called Laura Ingalls Wilder.
Law.
Laura Ingalls Wilder. And that there was a girl who lived at that time, and her family went to get that land, and she wrote, when she grew up, she wrote a book about her life at that time, and it was called Laura Ingalls Wilder. And a lot of people like that book because it shows very detailed story about what it was like for someone, a kid, to live with their family in that time. She lived from 1867 until 1957. So she grew up, she was a kid living on...
She can survive for long.
No, she lived all her life. Yeah, she didn't get killed. Yeah. So then, after that, after people got land, then there was another problem, which was the people who really owned the land, which was Native American people, the Indians. That was their land, and the United States government decided that they were going to get rid of them. And they fought. In the beginning, it wasn't the United States Army, it was just cowboys. They went there and tried to get the gold or whatever. They didn't go to kill Indians, they wanted the gold, and they wanted to take the land for the cities. But the Indians tried to defend their lands, and so they would get into battles. But it wasn't to attack the Indians until the United States Army started fighting against them, and there were many, many battles. I think there was, what did I write here? 800. There were more than 800 battles between the United States Army and Native Americans for 28 years. So that was a little bit after this time, though. So after the railroad was made, after they made a train that could go across the country, then families started to go, and many people started to move to the West because it was a new place. There were opportunities. You could go and try to get free land, or you could find gold, or you could get away from the bank that you owed money to. They said that there were 3 reasons why people left. They wanted to get something, gold. They wanted to get away from something, so they were running away from the bank, or from maybe from people that they owed money to, or maybe friends or family or whatever. Or they were just trying to get there. They wanted to see if they could make it to California because it was an adventure. You know, people who came from Europe, people came from Britain and Spain and Italy. They came because they were adventurers. They were people who wanted to take a risk. The people who were rich and the people who had good lives in Europe, they didn't leave. People who came to America were a little bit crazy. And that's what people in Europe still think now. They say they're crazy in America. The crazy people from Europe went to the United States, and they built cities on the East Coast, but then that became like Europe. And so those crazy people who wanted to have an adventure and be free, they had to go west. But eventually, cities and towns were built there, and it became the same as the East. So eventually, there was no West anymore. There wasn't any adventure or excitement anymore. What else did I write? Okay. Oh, so there were, after that, the West, originally the Native American Indian people, they were given land for their own state. I don't know if the government, probably the United States government said, okay, we took all of your land, but don't worry, you can have this land. You can have a place here in the West. But eventually they didn't follow that pact anymore, and they just attacked Indian people anyway, and killed most of them in battles and wars for.
And right now, have the Indian and all.
Yes, but not very many. So there were many battles in the West for the land there, because after a while Indian people realized that the United States military was going to get rid of them. In the beginning, probably they thought that it could be some kind of living together. Probably when the white man, I'm called a white man, when the white man came to the West, they thought, okay, well, maybe we live here and they can live there, and that's okay. But eventually the army started to go to the West, and it was just to completely kill all of the Native American people.
Why?
Who lived there.
Because they can't deal together.
Because people wanted that land from the East and from Europe, the white man. And I was watching a movie about it, and they said that Indian people, Native American people, used to call white people dog face.
Dog face.
Dog face, because they're really ugly. they said the dog face white man is coming.
India แดง look like in Asian.
a little bit,
Asian
but
people.
skin a little bit kind of red, a little bit dark and a little bit red. And they used to have some of them.
ไม่เมียนมาเมียนมา
No, but they used to have like feathers from eagles in their hair. They had some of them had mohawks. That's why we have the hairstyle now because
Mohawk from that
yeah, from them, and lots of animal furs. And they used to live in teepees.
teepees
Yeah, they used to take sticks like this and put them into a
house.
pile, and then around the outside would be skins. So it was like a pyramid, but it was round. It looked
they
like
live
this
there inside
in the teepees. Little villages, and then they could pick up the teepees and move them to another place. When they were following the buffalo, the bison. What else did I write about the white man? Oh, so then also Native American people said that that we would believe the grandfather in Washington if he didn't have so many bald-headed thieves working for him. So the grandfather in Washington was the president of the United States. President of the United States used to have like a white wig on his head because they used to have lice, and so they would shave their hair and then they would wear a white wig, fake hair on their head. Yeah, that was fake because they would have lice. They would have the animals in their hair. So at that time, people used to shave their head or they were bald.
animal
Yeah, lice. They're itchy. The little animals that go in your hair and are itchy.
but no, don't have medicine or something
No, it was just the easiest way to get rid of it was to shave your head, to take off your hair. So then they would wear those wigs. And Indian people would call the president grandfather because he was very old and he had the white hair. And American people would say, you know, that's the president. You have to listen. And Indian people said, well, we would listen if he didn't have so many bald-headed thieves. So they said the president wasn't so bad, but all of the people who were working for him, who were coming to the West, were criminals. So they said that it's not easy to listen to the president when all the people working for him are criminals. So they would steal things and kill people, and trickery and lying and mischief. Anyway, this is a lot of notes because this is a really long part of history.
in that time white people and Indian have some kids together
Sometimes, but very rarely.
and when what happened with the children from different DNA different land
It doesn't matter. They would still be Americans.
or they still be American
It doesn't matter what land because there was no Native American land anymore. There was only Native American land for some time, and then the army killed most of them. There was no Indian land left anymore after the battles. There was more than 800 battles that were fought, but Indian people didn't have the same technology as the U.S. Army did. They had bow and arrows.
like in the movies
Yeah,
in the movies.
and spears, and no armor or guns. So at some point, though, there were some American companies that were selling guns to them, making money.
But they know about
Yeah,
gun.
but probably, you know, a lot of people in America are more interested in making money than choosing a side. They didn't care. They probably sold guns to whoever wanted to buy them. I'm not sure if the U.S. government allowed that or not, but there were a lot of people selling guns to Indians. So eventually they got guns, and then the battles were much more deadly because both sides had guns. But in the beginning, they didn't have any guns, so they couldn't really fight against the U.S. Army or cowboys that were there. Also in that time, in these movies, if you watch it, people got hanged. Remember in Back to the Future, they were always trying to hang somebody. That's how people were killed. If you did something wrong,
punished.
yes, that's how people were punished. They were hanged. So they would usually put you on a table or on a horse, and then they put a rope around your neck and attached to a tree or to some piece of wood, and then they would whip the horse, and the horse would run away, and then you would hang. So if you did something wrong, then you got hanged. That was the punishment, or you got shot.
Hard to survive.
Well, because that's what people wanted. They liked that in the Wild West. That's why they went there, because they thought it was free.
Probably they don't like, but they no choice. They have no choice. Just they had to go.
Maybe some of them thought that, but a lot of them were trying to get rich or trying to get something for free because they thought they could get free land or get rich from the gold. And they heard stories. You know, somebody went to California and found gold, and then they sent letters back. They said, you gotta come, there's gold everywhere. But by the time everyone got there, there wasn't very much gold left anymore. Also, it was very dangerous for groups of people. They would go in a group. It wasn't just one person who said, okay, I'm going to go to the West. There was a large group of people who said, okay, let's
Team.
make a
Team.
kind of like a team, but it was like a wagon party, and they all had horses and wagons, and they put all of their things. They put, all of their food and their guns and their
weapon.
weapons. Yeah, their guns and their food and whatever they had in their wagon, and they all went together in a group.
Another group will steal. Another group will attack and steal.
I don't know. I don't think it was very common for groups to steal from each other, but some cowboys did. Some outlaws or criminals would attack them and try to steal what they had, and then they would hang them. If they got caught, then they would hang those people. Also, a couple more comments from Native Americans. They said that the white man has never kept any promise that he's ever made. So they said that white people never keep any promises. So don't trust them.
Israel? In that time.
Probably still now. But anyway, that's what was said. Also, they said that Native Americans used to call the train plenty of wagon and no horse.
Plenty of wagon.
No horse.
Plenty means
Plenty, a lot. So you know what a wagon is?
Behind. Animal. Behind.
Horse.
The horse.
Right. So plenty of wagon, that means a lot of wagons and no horse. So you tell us, what does that mean?
Means because train have a lot of wagons.
And no horse. right? Lots of wagons and no horse.
Easy to use and quickly done. Yeah.
So, also there were many groups in these wagons that went to the West, and some of them really had a lot of trouble. One of them was called the Donner Party, and it said that there were 45 people who survived because they ate the 36 people in their group who died.
Eat.
Yeah, they ate so there were 45 people who survived, they lived, because
They eat.
36 people died as they were going, and they ate them as they were
Because no
they were
food.
going.
That.
Because of the snow and because of disease. People got sick, people got hurt.
When people sick and we eat them, it's okay. We won't get sick.
Probably, but then that will be the next person who dies, and then you eat them. So I don't think it was that common, but definitely people ate each other because that's how dangerous it was going to the West. There were many different kinds of Native American tribes. They're called groups. Some of them were very peaceful and couldn't fight. Some of them were very good at fighting. And one of those was called the Apaches. Apache.
Means.
And they're very famous. That's what they called themselves. That was their name. That was the name they called themselves.
Apache.
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 Yeah, like Thai people. Apache. They called themselves Apache. And they were really good at fighting. They were really dangerous. And now in the United States, we have some military equipment called Apache. There's a famous helicopter that's called an Apache gunship. It's called an Apache because of those Indian fighters who were really dangerous. And they said that death was everywhere in the West, and the hands of death were the Apache. So what does that mean?
The hand of death. Dead.
Death.
Death. Die.
Death was everywhere in the Wild West, and the hands of death were the Apache.
I don't know death.
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 You know death. We've heard many times. 100 times on our show already.
Death.
Dead.
Criminal.
No, death. Die.
Die.
Death.
The hand of die.
The hand of death.
The hand of death is
Apache.
Apache. Apache did หรือว่า Apache is very dangerous.
Yeah, that's true. But let's hear your explanation of the words.
First one, all of them. All
No,
sentence.
yeah, the whole sentence. What does it mean?
In a group is very strong and dangerous.
No, just the words from the sentence. Death was everywhere in the West. What does that mean?
In the West is dangerous.
Yeah, but death. What is death?
People
Not
die.
people. Yeah?
People die everywhere in the West.
Yeah. Because?
Because it's dangerous. They kill each other.
Who?
People. I'm not sure.
Not sure if we understand
I'm not
about
sure.
the Wild West. Haven't you seen in the movies? There's an angel of death,
Angel of death.
and they have a coat like this. You can't see their face, and they have a sigh. They have a stick with a sword on it.
Oh.
That's called the angel of death,
Oh.
right? When death comes to you, it kills you. That means it's your time to die. So they were saying that this angel of death was everywhere in the West. because everywhere you go, you died.
อ๋อ
And they said that the hands of death, the thing that uses was the Apache. Or many other things as well. There were other parts of death, right? The legs of death probably were the diseases. The head of death was the snakes.
means everywhere is dangerous
Yeah. And in Apache country, there were some areas where the Apache lived, and those were really dangerous. If you went there, you probably didn't live for very long.
good luck right now no nothing
I don't think there's any Apache left, but we have some military equipment called Apache. That's it. There is a famous game. It's called Red Dead Redemption. It's a computer game about the Wild West. And that game is built to show the story of this time. Many people play that game.
Right now,
it's
no.
a very, very famous game. No, right now. Yes, last year.
เกมเพลย์เหรอ
Yeah. It's called Red Dead Redemption. And that game is made about the Wild West of the United States. Because nowadays, people remember the Wild West as really tough. The people were like this. They were all good looking and strong, and
But they
all
remember
could
wrong.
shoot really well.
but they remember wrong
No, it's not as good as the stories. Nowadays, when people talk about the West, they think it was like this. Everyone was good looking, and people were tough, and there was money. No, it wasn't like that. People were dying of diseases. Their teeth were falling out. They were drunk with whiskey. They were getting hanged. It was a lot more dangerous and not as romantic as in the movies. Also, they
he
said
look
that
like Beckham
Beckham.
Black
I don't think so.
or Beckham
Backham?
football act
I don't think so.
when you look far
Maybe Simpty's eyes. Maybe because of Simpty's eyes, but
eyes bad
I don't think so. I don't think he looks like Beckham at all. Anyway, so when people talk about the Wild West, they usually talk about good movies and they talk about it in a good way. But it was mostly just criminals and fighting, and there weren't very many girls there. I remember they had one letter that a person wrote. He said, there aren't very many girls here, and if there are any, they aren't very handsome. Means they're really ugly, the ones that were there. So it was a horrible place. It was dangerous and full of guns and people getting killed. But anyway, after that, when the railroad was built, then cities and towns were built, and families started moving there, and then they became towns and cities, and then they became states, and then the United States joined together and became the United States.
really long sorry
Because of
a lot of details
the Wild West. Okay, so now you tell us what happened. So quickly, Sipti is now
Virus.
generalized racist compression of 200 years of time.
Everything lifestyle of Mississippi
No, from Europe. So people came from Europe, right? What were they? Why were they going to the United States?
They want to get gold.
No, they didn't know there was gold in the United States yet. That was after. That was in California.
Or they came because they poor.
Yeah, many were poor,
And
but not all. You remember in the Titanic, Rose was very rich. There were rich families that went
they
to the United
want to
States
go
also.
China to to China.
No, that was in the very beginning. They wanted to go to China, but after that, they realized that they can't go to China there.
They want to find some land. No.
No, they were trying to escape. A lot of them were religious people who, because at that time, remember, if you didn't follow the church in your city,
You have to pay.
you had to pay or you got killed. So a lot of people who did not follow that type of religion,
They escape.
they had to leave. And so a lot of people who had different religious beliefs had to go to the United States.
And they
A lot of
found-
people who were criminals came to the United States. A lot of people who were business people said, this is an opportunity to get rich in a new land.
And they came.
They came and they made small cities on the East Coast.
East Coast.
And those cities grew and became civilized. It wasn't dangerous there anymore. But then after that, what happened?
I know why they know about the gold. The gold.
Gold.
Gold. All because one guy he found that land. Because a guy he found that.
No, it wasn't just
Fine.
one person. There were people who went to California, but there wasn't very many. It was just adventurers
Some people.
or geologists or cowboy. Well, maybe not cowboys at that time,
They
but
want to
people
go
who were
California.
yeah they were adventurers. They were looking for new land, for new places, for new excitement.
And they know about gold.
There were probably some small towns in California, but they were just a few people there, and they found gold there.
And after that, many people knew and wanted to go
Yeah.
there.
Hmm.
And in the beginning, in that place, there were India Dang
Yeah.
and no white people.
Not very many.
And have a lot of places.
Not have.
There were a lot of places.
A lot of what?
Places. Land.
Land.
A lot of land.
Yeah.
That's why people from Europe wanted to go.
It was already, they were Americans then already. This was much after
But
the
the
United
way
States
is
became.
so long,
Hmm.
so far, and dangerous.
Hmm.
The poor people and criminal.
And adventurers.
Adventure.
People who wanted excitement.
And they had to fight with Indian.
Not India.
Indians.
Native Americans.
Indians.
Hmm.
Animal. Or
The desert, no water.
there's no water and no food.
Right. Okay.
Until someone know about gold and that land and wanted to build
Bill.
building the 10 way
Bill.
build the way for 10
Not Tane.
train,
Right, what is it called? The railroad.
the railroad.
Hmm.
And many people died before the train done.
Yeah.
And after the train,
Not the train.
the train finished,
The railroad
the railroad
was done.
Many
When was the railroad done?
1868 69
How long ago?
100 over 100 ago 131
140 years, right? Yes.
and after that many families came from Europe and owned
Not from Europe, from the east of the United States.
from the east of the United States and many battle happened because white people soldier and Indian and criminal
What?
Indians
Mm-hmm.
and criminal
Right.
until the government can control
Control what?
people and land. There had many
There had?
no there were many house made to be town and to be united.
Many house to be town?
Many people stay together, become to town,
Become to?
became to,
Not to.
became, I don't know,
Towns.
towns and united. And America.
I don't really understand the end.
I mean, after the war,
Yeah?
everything, people came to stay there
Yeah. Why?
because they can own land.
Or land.
Land.
What did they have to do to get the land?
They had to stay for 8 months.
Could you do that, you think?
I think I'm
It's called homesteading.
homesteading.
Yeah. Do you think if the government told you, okay, you go to Isan, you live there for 8 months.
Isan.
Yeah. No water, no, you have nothing. You have to live there for 8 months by yourself with
No.
your family,
No.
and then you get the land for free.
No.
You think you could do it?
No.
No. It was difficult,
Yes.
right?
But most people can do.
I don't know any statistics on how many people died trying, but all the land was taken. So if someone died, then another person tried until they did it, because all the land was eventually taken and there was nothing left. Yep. And those people are rich now. So nowadays, people in the United States, they say, you know, why am I poor and why are these families rich? Well, those families took a huge risk to
pattern อดทน They tried to survive
right,
there.
and a lot of
What
them
you
died.
call pattern
Pretend?
not pattern อดทน when people try a lot and keep trying.
Perseverance.
Not give up.
Yeah, perseverance.
Perseverance.
Do you have perseverance?
Not
Like
much.
the long rain,
Not much.
right? Would you make it? Would you make it out to the Wild West? Would you go to the Wild West of
I
Thailand?
don't decide to go.
You wouldn't go. You stay in Europe, right?
Yes.
Where things are easy, right? Say, hey, mom, I need $15. Anyway, okay. What do you think of the Wild West?
It's interesting and good legend เหรอ or story
Not legend. Legend means not
real.
Maybe not real.
good story like when Thai people talked about Thai people when in hundreds years ago when Sukhothai or Ayutthaya like that.
Exactly. Is he handsome? Do you like cowboys?
I think it's in the real life like you told me I don't like.
Right. How about this? But what if they were not? Or if they looked like this? Would that be
it's
good?
like movies.
Oh, okay. You like that tough guys like that?
Tough guy.
Shooting people?
No.
You don't mind?
I don't like.
If your husband like shot 3 people and then it's like, hey Sipti, what's for dinner?
I don't like.
No?
I can't eat human.
Could you shoot someone,
human
you think?
meat.
You think you could shoot someone? What if you had a gun in the Wild West?
I have to do. If I don't shoot them, they will shoot me. I will shoot.
Okay, but what if like someone was a criminal? You saw someone and they're like, hey Sipti, that was a criminal. Could you shoot them?
If I don't know enough, I won't shoot them.
Like, hey, he's getting away. That's a criminal. He's a murderer. Could
And
you
if
shoot
I
them?
saw they do bad,
No, you don't see it. Someone tells you.
no, why I
Just
had
let
to,
him go.
Yes, why I had to because
What if he comes back and kills your family?
if I know the future, I will kill him.
No. So there's a guy, right? And your friend catches him. And they say, Sipti, this is a
In that
criminal.
time, we can
No,
kill.
no, don't make anything. They catch a guy, right? He's on his knees, and he doesn't have a gun, and they say, Sipti, this is a murderer. You should kill him, or you can let him go. What are you gonna do?
I will ask something from them. From
What are you
him.
gonna ask? You ask. I'll be him. You
I
ask
will
him.
look at him.
Okay, I'll be
And
him.
if you look not like criminal or
I'll be
Not
him. You can
bad.
ask me a question. What do you ask me?
if you I don't kill you because you don't look like criminal.
Okay, but you're just gonna look. So if they look bad, you'll kill him.
And I ask you what you do before.
Nothing. I didn't do anything. I'm innocent.
I will ask my friend
Yeah, they say we know he's a murderer.
what he did.
He killed a whole family. He kills families.
His family
He kills families.
or other family.
Yeah. You have the choice.
I think he can't lie me if he bad like my friend told me. I can see on my
Like Native Americans said, white man has never kept any promises that they've ever made.
I will kill. No, I will let my friend kill. I
No,
will,
he's not going to kill. It's up to you.
it's hard to decide.
Right. What do you do?
If I know my heart think my heart told me he's bad, I will kill. But if he look not bad, not like criminal, I won't
Not bad.
look not like
If he
don't look like criminal.
doesn't
Doesn't like criminal.
look like.
Look like criminal. I won't kill him.
Okay, so it's just you're just looking at them, deciding.
Yes.
That's all.
But right now I can't tell you because you don't look the same.
So it's just your feeling if someone should be killed or not. So you don't care about the killing.
In
It's-
that time we had to think.
We had to? You were there? Were you there?
We have to
Okay. We
have to would we would do
we would have to.
we would have to use sense
Sense? What kind of sense?
feeling.
Like incense?
I don't know what you call feeling you. Your
Feeling you?
Your feeling.
Okay.
What you
Feeling.
call feelings. Sense.
Yeah.
You call sense.
It's one of the things you can say. Yeah, your senses. But senses are also your eyes, your nose. If your tongue.
About six sense other people.
We have 5 senses. 6th sense is the one that you can like magic.
Like people say six sense like when you see God.
Yeah. So you have 5 senses, and if they say the 6th sense, that means the one to
But
sense
can be many things, not
magic.
Not all can be magic, not just.
It's not magic. It's just
Not
like
just-
dead things or other things that other people can't see. Usually like ghosts and spirits and magic and things like that. Yeah. I don't know about magic, but for some reason I think it's kind of magical. Sensing energy. Maybe not magic, but energy.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
everything is energy, power, energy, พลังงาน
We've taken a turn here. I don't know what Sibti is talking about. What is this? Panaan, power?
Huh?
Everything is power?
พลัง
I don't know. What are
พ
we
ลัง
talking
is
about?
energy.
Are we talking about goldfish? What is this?
Bad
What
food.
kind of energy?
Energy พลังงาน energy power can like my energy can make I can move, can think, but some วิญญาณ some ghost sometimes is energy.
Okay.
When some people taste with material or
Test with what? Taste? Eating?
electric I don't know anyway.
We can't give up. We got to keep going.
Electronic เหรอ
Okay.
they can taste
Taste.
test
Test. For what?
for
Goldfish.
for energy ghost
For ghost.
in
Ghost.
hollow house
Ghost.
energy
Yeah.
in bad house
Not bad house.
hollow
Not hollow. No. Haunted.
haunted house.
Houses. Do you believe that though? You think it's real? You think they have have you ever heard the machine? He's like, I'm a ghost.
No. Something
I'm hungry.
can be other thing, not just ghost. Sometimes it's alien or something. We don't know.
And the machine can tell you that it's an alien.
I just guess, but
Okay.
in that time I saw he said,
Should we get one of these machines? And you can-
no.
Okay. Anyway, that was our
Painful.
Wild West history. But I think it's good enough to imagine the basic things. Okay, any questions?
No.
Thank you so much. If you want to see Sibti and her new
Boyfriend.
husband
No.
In the Wild West,
I don't care.
homesteading for some land, make sure you add her on Instagram. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye
ขอบคุณ
bye.
ค่ะ